So, what is the best thing about flying versus driving?
Oh, well, I'd say usually it saves you time. Not always. And I think like you can even argue when it doesn't really save you time, we still prefer to do it if we can. I think it's prettier. I think like I would consider it to be safer. General aviation as a whole, in terms of safety record, is about the same level of safety record as riding a motorcycle. So like, I think you could argue that it's not like aviation as a whole in terms of scheduled carriers and stuff is extremely safe, right? When you take the whole thing in,
right?
Considerably safer than flying.
Driving.
But when you look at just general aviation, that safety statistic goes down, and I think fundamentally the reason is because the incidents and accidents that do happen really are a result of poor planning, the result of weather, they're a result of pilot flying in conditions they shouldn't have been in the first place. And so I think if you can eliminate and not get yourself in those situations, then in terms of flying, it's incredibly safe. And so I'd much rather be up here with no traffic in the sky on an autopilot than on the road with lots of other people, some of which are bad drivers, some of which are angry. I don't know, there seems to be a noticeable trend, Reddit has even pointed this out, that drivers now, post-COVID, seem to be angrier, and there seems to be a lot more kind of rage in people's driving. Lots of people like being more aggressive in their driving habits. Lots of people being slow in the left lane, which makes it hard to get around. And so like not having to contend with that, not having to contend with construction on the road where you get piled in lots of cars together. Like I would just take that any day if I could. So like it's prettier up here. I think the view is beautiful. You get to see lots of interesting stuff when you fly, even though we've flown this route many dozens of times.
Yeah, a lot.
It's still interesting, and like, I think flying is kind of like a crossword puzzle. Like it challenges your brain. I mean, autopilot doesn't really, like this part doesn't challenge your brain, but taking off and landing requires thought, requires care.
The planning that goes into
planning, yeah. So like, I just enjoy it. It's expensive. It's not always feasible. The downside is like you have to get picked up wherever you go, or you have to arrange for a car, right? That's not always practical or easy. But there's some places that make that easier than others, and so we just generally try to fly where we can. Like, spent 3 years building this plane, right? It's a beast. Like, in terms of GA capable aircraft, like this is as good as it gets. This aircraft. You can buy bigger planes, older Cessnas, that have 6 seats, 210s or 206s or Pipers. But, the maintenance issues on those add up. This is just like all around a great plane. I mean, the only thing you can really compare this to is a Cirrus of the same size, like an SR-22, which is 3 times as expensive. Maybe slightly more capable in terms of flying into ice conditions, ballistic parachute, a few other odds and ends, maybe an air conditioner. But like if you factor that stuff out, like this plane is as good as it gets, which is why I wanted to build it. And it's been great for us. Like even when they're bigger, we're still going to be able to take this plane around. Like when they're full grown, we can still go somewhere in this plane.
Just have to take less luggage.
Yeah, maybe slightly less luggage or a little less fuel. I just don't foresee a future where we need more than 4 seats. It'd be nice occasionally. Like if I am going to upgrade to something else, it's probably not going to be like a thing that I fly. Like I don't necessarily want to get into something bigger and more comprehensive, I don't think. I'd rather just take NetJets, or do some kind of subscription
First
carrier.
class.
Yeah, like just do that. I think like the economics work out to be about the same, and like you don't have to deal with the maintenance and the headache and the hangering. Like just make that jump so that if we do that, that may be the next logical jump we would make. I'm not saying like we could do that. I don't know the future, but I think like this is really good for us and will be for the foreseeable future. And even if we're able to do that, like this is still just fun to be able to get in and go somewhere kind of on your own control when you want.
And we definitely, especially in the last year, gone to like some places that we would have not gone without the plane.
Yeah, Dauphin Island was a great example. We went there, what, last year? 2 years ago? It was last year.
It was last Labor Day,
Last
so
Labor Day.
just a year,
Right.
a year plus.
So Dauphin Island, Alabama, right? About as far south as you can go in Alabama. Not a convenient place to get to by scheduled carrier. You could fly into Mobile, I guess. We would have to make some connections. Fly into Mobile, however you want to say it. You know, rent a car, do all that. Like, we were able to fly pretty close, get a car, and just drive right out and stay on the beach for 4 days, 5 days. You know, in a nice beach house. Took us 4 hours, a little over 4 hours to get there in this plane. But gosh, it'd take that long, if not longer, to get there scheduled carrier by the time you drive and do all that other stuff. So we just never would have gone. It wouldn't have been a destination we would go to. We'd go someplace more convenient to scheduled carrier based on where we are than there.
Yeah, and it was really just, I got on Airbnb and like, this is a reasonable amount, like we can make it in a flight. We just had the kids had an extra day off for Labor Day weekend, and so we hopped in the plane and went.
I mean, flying to Kissimmee, Florida was also the same thing. You know, we can get to Orlando. There's direct flights from Indianapolis to Orlando. We've done that many times in the past, but we can also just hop in this thing and fly to Kissimmee. And
I don't think we saved any time at all.
Probably not saving any time
on that flight, but we hit weather. But then, you know, that afforded us the opportunity to fly from Kissimmee to
Key West.
Key West for the day.
Yeah.
So that was the big extra on that one. But then we also flew to upstate New York for Memorial Day this year, and that's definitely a place that I would have never thought about. And that happened because the weather in North Carolina was horrible that weekend. And so, I don't know, 2 days before we left, we pulled an audible, and we're like, okay, we'll go here because it's going to be nicer.
We also, you know, have the benefit of it being in the Midwest right now. There's not a plane in the sky right now where we are, right? I don't see anybody on the scope. I mean, granted, it's Thanksgiving. I haven't heard another plane talk to ATC in like 15 minutes. I don't see anybody on the horizon, right?
And we're talking to Indy Approach?
Yeah.
Or we're listening to Indy Approach?
And so, you know, getting from here to there is not fraught with vectors and clearances and restrictions, you know, like it is in busier areas. So super convenient just to go somewhere. The land's all flat. Everything around us is fields of corn or soybeans.
Or it looks like windmills.
Windmills over to the west. But in terms of like a convenient place to land, we got it, right? I got a nice view here of my, you want to take a little video of the screen to overlay. I've got a nice view here of my surroundings on my G3X, and I got this beautiful blue ring that shows me where I can glide to in an emergency, right? And so at the moment, we're at 7,500 feet, and this shows me exactly where I could go. Muncie Airport is an option, right? I can glide to Muncie should I need to. And the plane will let me know. It'll even take over and fly the autopilot there if I need to. But there's lots of options, right? The plane will show us. So the sophistication of the electronics in this plane versus what we grew up on in terms of the 1970 Cessna, like, is just top notch. The fact that you can buy this Garmin's experimental equipment and it's relatively affordable in the experimental world is just phenomenal. You know, this screen in front of me cost, I don't know, $3,500, which sounds expensive until you realize that in a certified plane, the screen costs $35,000, right? It's the 10x difference. So by the time you put $10,000 to $15,000 worth of avionics in this plane.
3508 in departure, radar contact, turn left direct Maria, I maintain 13,000.
By the time you put $10,000 to $15,000 of avionics in this aircraft, you know, it sounds expensive, but when you realize that in a certified world, it's considerably more expensive by 5 to 10x, and you get as capable, if not more capable stuff, you know, it's phenomenal. I mean, Garmin releases new software updates for the G3X before they do for their certified lines, right? We get to test some of the features out before it makes its way in the certified world. And so you could say, okay, well that sounds scary, but it also is great because you get access to stuff that just, you know, these guys are just thinking of new stuff all the time in terms of safety, in terms of capability, and it's just a software update. Fantastic.
So that was a really long-winded answer to my question, right? And all I was getting at is when you have kids, the best feature of flying is this button right here.
Yeah, isolation's great because you don't have to listen to them complain from the back seat.